The Portland Trailblazers looked at an NBA that is already getting bigger at almost every position and apparently said, "That's cool, give us another guard." Ja Morant, Damian Lillard, Jrue Holiday, Scoot Henderson, and Shaedon Sharpe. That is why this thumbnail says roster chaos. But chaos doesn't always mean a bad thing, because none of these guards give them the same thing. Ja gives them rim pressure and playmaking. Dame gives them shooting and late game offense. Jrue gives them defense and versatility. Scoot is still a young point guard with upside. And Sharpe gives them explosive scoring. Around them, Portland still has all-star forward Deni Avdija and one of the best perimeter defenders in Toumani Camara, and potential defensive anchor in Donovan Clingan. And remember, this is not a lottery team starting from zero. Portland just won 42 games and returned to the playoffs for the first time in 5 years. So this roster could become one of the most deepest and most exciting teams in the Western Conference, or it could become a traffic jam that slows down the development of the exact young players Portland spent years building around. Today, we figure out which outcome is more likely. What's up, you guys? This is Yogo2 back with another video. And yes, today we are discussing the Portland Trailblazers, the truth about the Portland Trailblazers. And make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. But with that being said, let's get straight into it. Portland entered this offseason ready to become aggressive. The Blazers were reportedly prepared to make a trade pitch for Giannis Antetokounmpo if he became available, and he was willing to sign an extension. The dream move never happened, but Portland still landed a former All-Star NBA guard in Ja Morant, trading Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray to Memphis for him. And from a strictly talent standpoint, I understand the gamble. Portland made the deal without surrendering a first-round pick or breaking up the young foundation of Deni, Camara, Clingan, Scoot, Henderson, and Sharpe. At his best, Ja can control the entire offense. His speed puts pressure on the defense before it gets set. His ability to reach the paint forces help, and his ability to create open shots for everybody around him makes him even more beneficial. Put Ja in a pick and roll with Clingan, and the defense has to make a difficult choice. If the big drops, Ja can attack. If the defender steps up, Clingan can roll to the rim. And because Clingan has started expanding his range, he can occasionally pop behind the play as well. Ja also can create easy opportunities for Deni in transition and find Camara for open threes. But the risk is obvious. Ja only played 20 games last season. He averaged 19.5 points and 8.1 assists and shot 23.5% from three, and eventually had his season ended by sprained UCL in his left elbow. Injuries and suspensions have limited him to only 79 games over the last 3 seasons. So Portland is betting on Ja's talent, health, and maturity at the same time. He does not have to become Steph Curry for this to work, but he does have to become respectable enough from three that defenses cannot completely ignore him when Deni, Dame, or Jrue has the ball. If he stays healthy and locked in, Portland may have found another All-NBA level engine. Availability has to come before ability. Adding a star point guard creates another question. What happens to the player who just became Portland's offensive centerpiece? Deni Avdija is only 25 years old, and he's listed at 6'8", and he's coming off an All-Star season, which he averaged 24 points, 7 rebounds, and almost 7 assists. He also attempted 9.2 free throws per game, which shows that his production was not based on lucky shooting. He consistently pressured the rim and forced defenses to foul him. Then he can grab a rebound and start a break himself. He can attack mismatches, finish through contact, and create for teammates almost like a point forward. His outside shot still has to become a more consistent part of his game, shooting only 31.8% from three last season. But this is exactly why Portland cannot turn him into somebody who only stands in the corner while Dame and Ja control every possession. Let Ja push the pace and collapse the defense, then let Deni attack the second side once the defense is already moving. Stagger their minutes so that one of them is always running the offense. Ja should raise Deni's ceiling. He should not remove the role that allowed Deni to become an all-star. That may be the most important balance for Portland to find this upcoming season. Even if Portland figures out the offense, its smaller guard still has to survive defensively. That is why Toumani Camara and Donovan Clingan are so important. Camara is exactly the type of wing that is capable of guarding multiple positions, and he's already made an All-NBA defensive team. He does not need the ball to affect the game. Last season, he averaged 13.4 points while shooting 37% from 3 on more than 7 attempts per game. He can defend the opposing team's best perimeter player, switch across multiple positions, and still provide enough shooting to keep the floor space. Then behind him, Portland has Clingan. Clingan averaged 12.1 points, 11.6 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks last season. As a rookie, he only attempted 0.7 threes per game. That increased to 3.2 last season, and he made 34% of them. He's not an elite shooter yet, but at 7'2", who can protect the rim, rebound, screen, roll, and occasionally stretch the floor, he gives Portland a lot of options. The Blazers also retain Robert Williams, who provides rim protection, rebounding, lob finishing. Young Hansen gives him another 7-footer with an intriguing passing instincts. Looks to be a big developmental piece for them going forward. Another player here deserves some attention, and that's from the wing position, and that's Ford, who they just recently signed, Jeremy Sochan. Fulham got him to a 1-year deal, and I think this can be one of the most important and underrated moves of its offseason. Trading Grant and Murray improved Portland's backcourt, but it also removed 2 forwards. Deni and Camara can handle the starting minutes at the 3 and 4, but Portland desperately needs that size behind them. This is where Sochan fits. At 6'8", he can defend different types of forwards, rebound, and bring physicality to the second unit. Offensively, he can grab rebounds, push the ball, make the extra pass, cut, and keep possessions moving forward without needing plays called for him. That versatility could especially be useful beside Dame, Scoot, or Sharpe. Sochan can handle the bigger defensive assignment and provide a connected playmaking so those lineups don't completely become guard dependent. This is also an opportunity for him to reset his career. His role in San Antonio was not really stable. When he was there, they even experimented though with him at point guard. And his time with the Knicks was of course pretty brief. Regardless, the guy still got a ring last year. Portland does not need him to become a star or even a full-time ball handler. His role can be simple: defend, rebound, push in transition, make quick decisions, and bring energy at the 4. The swing skill is his jumper. Defenses completely ignore him. Lineups with Clingan or Williams could become cramped. But if Sochan makes enough open corner threes to be respected, his defense, rebounding, playmaking can become a really valuable addition to this Portland Trailblazers team, and him being a long-term piece. Just remember, he's only 23 years old, so he still has a lot of time to really prove himself. This is a prove-it 1-year deal. Now though, we get to the most difficult part, deciding how all these guards actually play. Damian Lillard's return is one of the best stories in basketball, but Portland still has to separate the story from the basketball question. Milwaukee waived him after he tore his left Achilles. Portland signed him to a 3-year deal, and he missed the entire 2025-26 season. Now he's 36 years old, and I'm not expecting prime Damian Lillard, and Portland should not need him to average 30 points again, of course. What they need is his shooting gravity, secondary playmaking, and late game confidence. Even while rehabbing, he showed that the touch remains by winning that 2026 3-point contest. But a Ja and Dame backcourt may be exciting on paper, but both of those players are 6'2", and teams will repeatedly attack them on defense. That is why Dame's minutes should be managed, and why Portland should be open to using him as a bench creator if that gives the team better balance. The problem is that every Damian Lillard minute must come from somewhere. Sharpe averaged 20.8 points in only 29 minutes last season. Portland already committed to him long term, but I like Shaedon as a 6th man because it gives him a clear job: attack the second units and provide instant offense. But his defense, playmaking, 3-point consistency still need improvement. He shot 33.7% from 3 and averaged only 2.6 assists last season. This year is about proving that he can affect the games beyond scoring. Then there's Scoot Henderson. Scoot averaged 14.2 points during an injury-shortened regular season, but he showed real growth in the playoffs. Against San Antonio, he averaged 15 points while shooting 46.4% from 3, and including a 31-point game in Portland's victory in Game 2 of that series. 5 games does not erase every concern, but they showed why Portland should not bury him at the end of the rotation. Scoot and Sharpe both need real minutes for their development to continue. And then Portland still has Jrue Holiday. Jrue averaged 16 points and 6.1 assists last season while shooting 37.8% from 3. He can run the offense, play without the ball, and defend multiple positions. We all know Jrue Holiday has always been a legitimate lockdown defender for the most part of his NBA career. If Portland wants its most balanced starting lineup, I think I would really consider Ja, Jrue, Camara, Deni, and Clingan. That gives Ja the ball while Jrue and Camara handle the most difficult perimeter assignments. Dame and Sharpe can provide bench scoring, while Scoot receives backup point guard minutes. I would stagger those three instead of playing them together in another undersized lineup. If Portland wants to maximize the offense, it can start Ja and Dame. If it needs defense, it can close with Jrue and Camara. If it needs transition scoring and athleticism, then it can turn to Scoot and Shaedon. Options are there. The problem is the math. Ja is 6'2", Dame is 6'2", Scoot is 6'3", Jrue is 6'4", and Shaedon is 6'5". 5 talented players competing for 2 or occasionally 3 positions. Portland cannot spend long stretches playing 3 small guards together and expect Camara and Clingan to cover every mismatch. The Blazers must stagger Ja and Dame, keep at least one of Jrue or Camara on the floor as a primary defender, and continue using Deni as a big ball handler. Flexibility only helps when everybody understands his role. If Portland changes the hierarchy every night just to keep people happy, flexibility then turns to confusion. Portland went from a 42-40 team last season, finished 8th in the West, earned a 7th playoff seed through the play-in tournament, but lost to San Antonio, of course, in 5 games. They finished 17th in scoring and 16th in points allowed, so they were essentially a middle-of-the-pack team on both ends. Ja and Dame could raise the offensive ceiling, but the wrong guard combinations could pull the defense in opposite direction. My realistic expectation, Portland finishes somewhere between 6th and 8th seed in the Western Conference. Their ceiling may be the 5th seed if Ja stays healthy, Deni sustains an all-star production, Dame provides a reliable shooting, Sochan gives them real minutes at the 4, Clingan anchors a respectable defense, but their floor is still, to me personally, the play-in. And that's not saying that they're a bad team, it's just the West is so loaded with talent that it's still going to be very challenging when it comes to playing teams with more size. Ja and Dame are returning from significant injuries. Jrue and Dame are both 36. And smaller roles could distribute the development and rhythm of Scoot and Sharpe. I'm not ready to call Portland a championship contender yet, but I do believe it can become one of the most entertaining teams in basketball and a dangerous first-round opponent. If the experiment is not working by the deadline, Portland should not panic and sacrifice this young foundation. Deni, Camara, Clingan should remain the core. I would avoid trading Scoot or Sharpe simply because the rotation is crowded. Portland should first determine whether the problem is the young talent or the number of veterans that is taking the same minutes. If the Blazers eventually need to make the move, Jrue Holiday may be the most logical trade candidate. That is not because he's a bad fit. In many ways, he may be the guard who makes the roster functional, but he's 36 and he still has value to a contender. But moving him could open minutes for Scoot while allowing Portland to target another big wing or forward who can defend and shoot. Dame's return means more to Portland than a normal transaction, and Ja was acquired to raise this team's ceiling. That makes Jrue the clearest veteran to move if Portland eventually has to choose. If Ja's health or availability becomes a long-term concern again, Portland can reconsider that experiment later. But I would first give him an opportunity to prove himself in a new environment. The worst thing Portland can do is force the roster to stay together simply because the names look impressive. The best teams are not always the teams with the most talent. They are the teams whose talent makes the most sense together. The truth about the Portland Trailblazers is that this roster is chaotic, but it is not random. Every player provides different aspects. Deni, Camara, Clingan provide the size and defensive foundation that makes those guards playable. And if Sochan embraces a defined role, he can give Portland the forward depth that it was missing. If the roles are clear, the minutes are managed correctly, Ja and Dame stay healthy, this could become one of the deepest teams in the Western Conference. But if Portland tries to keep a very guard-heavy, happy, and reduce Deni to a spot-up player and sacrifices the development of Scoot and Sharpe, the roster chaos will become real. For now, I have Portland finishing somewhere, as I said before, around the 6th to 8th seedings in the West, with a chance to climb high as a 5th if everything goes right, or, even higher. You never know. But what do you guys think? Do the Blazers have one of the deepest rosters in basketball, or do they simply have too many guards? Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. With that being said though, I'm out. Peace.